guys! Welcome to another episode of College Review Live with Chloe. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different from the last one, and all of the ones going forward are going to be in this format, which is I'm going to select a couple of profiles or a couple of essays or a couple of UK specific things. So each episode is going to have its own kind of theme. So today's is going to be in specific talking all about college profiles. So everyone whose submission is a college essay, don't worry, I'll still get to you in the next episode, and that's going to be a special focusing on college essays. This way, it's much easier for me to edit, and I feel like it's easier for people to find information that they would like to watch, in addition to just people who submitted these. So this one is going to be college profile themed, whether it's college lists that you want me to review, or your stats in high school, or activities or things like that. And if you have an essay included, then I will go through that in that video. However, if you have just sent me an essay with no profile, then that will be included in the next episode. So hopefully this is a little bit more clear. Before we get started, I just wanted to reiterate that even though I do work as a college counselor, and my students so far have gotten into UChicago, Georgetown, and I mean, I've only had 2 students, so UChicago, Georgetown, and Cornell and Duke. However, I am not like a professional at this. I have never worked as like an admissions counselor, so all of these are coming from like a student's perspective, which in some ways could be more useful for you, but also if you're looking for like solid advice on like how to change your profile specifically or how to push it forward, it would really take a lot more time, because I'm only gonna have time to give each profile maybe like at most maybe 5 to 8 minutes of time, and usually for my students I work with them for over like 3 months or so. And so I just wanted to preface that before, you know, giving any sort of advice, that just because I don't like something or like something, that could be advice that you want to take to heart, but it could also be something that you can just take as a grain of salt and as like kind of a reference, I guess. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. We have like a dozen or more profiles to get through today, and I'm very excited. I've not looked at any of these before, so these are all my first impressions. So our first one is, hey dude, Indian man, oof. Okay. Submission type college list. Hey, I'm applying for 2021 intake to study business and political economy in Stern. Okay. And low-key want to apply to UChicago for global studies / public policy. Okay. Could you suggest a few more universities? Well, I mean, if you're interested in like public policy, you can try Georgetown SFS, the School of Foreign Service. You can try like just like the normal, just like Ivies, and specifically look for those like more like public policy programs. But if you want to do more business programs, I would definitely recommend looking at, I mean, let's just go online and take a look at that. Okay, so if you're specifically more interested for, you know, business as an undergraduate, just looking at like the top few rankings. I mean, again, I don't believe in rankings, but I mean, of course, there's like Wharton's undergraduate business program and MIT's undergraduate business program. I've heard really good things about Berkeley's. I have heard that it is hyper competitive though. But if you're looking into Stern, then you might be interested in Berkeley's Haas as well. UMich, I believe it's called Ross, has a really good business program, and I have a friend studying there and he really enjoys his experience, so definitely would recommend that. And for the other ones, I can't really speak too much about it, but I mean, if you have the time and if you're willing to do more research, I definitely encourage you to use the rankings as a reference of a starting point, and then go and research these individual universities to create your own ranking in terms of what schools you want to apply to. So don't just take the rankings as like, that's, you know, the scripture, the holy word. Do not do that, but you can use that as a starting point, as a way to kind of like kickstart your college research journey. Alright, could you search a few more unis? Also, is there any chance I can get into these 2 colleges through ED? Well, for Stern and UChicago, they're obviously different schools. You can only pick one to ED, but let's keep looking at your profile. I intend to study political economy / public policy / double major in political science and economics. I'm a May 2020 IB student. Our exams got canceled and I'm planning to take the November ones. Yeah. To get 41 plus points, is that a good choice? I mean, yes, I think you should take the IB exams, because then ultimately you will get a score. I have heard that like the May exam is tougher than the November exam, or is it the other way around? One of them. But honestly, it doesn't really matter too much. Like, all the students are not going to be taking like one exam over the other, especially since May exams got canceled. So kind of just ignore that and just take the exam if you can. 41 plus is good. You're definitely safe for a lot of UK schools. I don't know how that translates into your GPA though. Especially if you want to apply to US colleges, your GPA is going to be infinitely more important than your predictive or your ultimate IB scores, because you're already going to get into college by the time the colleges get your scores. Alright, let's look at your profile. Working in an intern as in Isha. Never heard of it, but People for the Kind Foundation for a year. Okay. Currently taking a gap year. That's interesting. That's definitely something you want to elaborate a little bit more on. Like, what did you do during your gap year? Why did you take a gap year? Working on an ebook for menstrual hygiene and a year-long internship with an organization. That's really cool. If you publish a book, and I mean, there are all sorts of videos on YouTube on this, on, you know, how to get better, like, reviews and rankings in terms of, like, books. But if you can manage to self-publish and, you know, make it into some sort of a bestseller, that could be a boost. It's better than just saying, I wrote a book. Rather, if you say, oh, I wrote a book and how many people read it and I've impacted my community in what way, that's always a better story than just, I wrote a book. Interned in my dad's office. Don't phrase it like that, potentially. Talk about the skills that you gained and talk about why you chose this internship, even though maybe you just did it because it's your dad's internship. But volunteer in many NGO-related activities. So far, I'm seeing a lot of working, interning, NGO, like volunteering stuff. So definitely elaborate a bit more on why that is and what skills you've learned, right? You don't want to just be seen as like an assistant role, but you want to be seen as having actual skills. So yes, giving me this list is really important, but what would be more important and more valuable is if you had given me a sense of what you did there, like some action verbs such as you mentored people, or you fundraised, or you organized, or you like optimized the system, or something along those lines, right? Part of my school choir, that's great, until grade 10. Grade 10's a little young. You can put it on your activities list, maybe a little lower. We'll start a company, sells handmade notebooks, keychains, earrings, etc. That sounds really cool. If you can tie that company to some sort of a endeavor or some sort of an initiative, that could be a bit more useful, unless you want art and business to be something on the side. But if you want, especially since you're applying as like a business major, you probably want to start that quickly and try to expand that. I think going the I started a company, I did a startup route for Stern and business majors, it's a bit more difficult just because that's the first thing everyone thinks of doing when they go to an undergraduate business program. So if you want to stand out, make sure it's for a specific reason. And since you worked with so many NGOs, I don't think it'd be really difficult for you to kind of melt the two worlds together to find the balance between business and NGO. And you talk about how like NGOs can't self-sustain without there being some sort of a business component to it or self-sufficiency. Something along those lines could work. 8 courses on Coursera. That's pretty good, depending on what courses they are. If you're certified, that'd be even better. Put them on your resume. Working on a research paper on impact on COVID-19 on local businesses. That's great, but definitely limit it to your surroundings and maybe have some case studies, maybe make some... Try to publish your research paper, I guess. You know, don't just write it, submit it to competitions, try to do it at even some local publication. Being published is really different than writing a research paper, so try to do that. Ebook on how COVID-19 could disrupt the economy and stock market for kids. That could be really cool, but again, with the other self-publishing thing, you know, make sure there's something that comes out of it. It's not just I wrote a book. Bharatanatyam classes. I'm sorry, but I have no idea what that is. So I'm gonna Google that really quickly just to figure out what that is so I can give you better advice and just have a better sense. Bharatanatyam. Is a major form of Indian classical dance that is indigenous to Tamil Nadu. Bharatanatyam is the oldest classical dance tradition in India. That is really cool. I don't know whether you mean you take these classes or you teach these classes, but either way, that's something really interesting. If you've done it for many years, just like, you know, I did Chinese calligraphy for like 13 years. If you've done it for many years, that's definitely something that you can talk about that, you know, ties to your heritage. However, I will say that if you want to get into UChicago or Stern, you're a little bit lacking in terms of the political economy part. I don't see from your profile why you want to study political science. Like, it doesn't scream political science at me, you know? What I do see, however, is definitely a heavy emphasis on community. You care about COVID-19, you care about its impact on businesses, you are talking about publishing a lot, you're talking about starting company, publishing things, very self-motivated. I guess that puts into the whole business part a little bit more, but instead of having one big project, I see that you have multiple smaller projects. So I feel like unless you can find some way to tie them all together or indicate that they're part of a journey or something, it's difficult for you to tell a story, right? So you've done a lot of cool individual things, but I feel like it's really difficult for you to piece it together into one cohesive story that you're doing, which is why I think for Stern it could be a little bit more difficult. For UChicago, I I really can't tell. If you have a really high GPA, a really high SAT, so assuming you have the hard stats down, you definitely have enough extracurriculars. Like, you have enough of them. What I would suggest from now on is to try to find ways to frame the ones that are still ongoing, like working on an ebook, right? Or like going to publish this or going to start a company, right? All of these are happening in the future. Think about what will make your profile stronger. Don't think about how I can make this more political science oriented. Think about how I can make my profile stronger. How can I stand out? Because you don't have to apply, again, you don't have to apply to your school with whatever major you want to be in, other than Stern. Stern is business undergraduate. That's a different thing. I'm talking about like UChicago, right? You don't have to apply as the major you want to study at UChicago, because you can always study whatever you want. So definitely just try to be more outstanding in terms of your extracurriculars and tell a story. And yeah, that's about it. Hopefully that was helpful. Next one is by Leah, and I'm worried I don't have enough of a spike. Okay, and for those of you who don't know what a spike is, it's quite common terminology and common applications, but it's basically something that sets you apart from other applicants. Something, so like your spike could be like public speaking, or it could be this company that you did, or because of this like particular activity, or something really special about you that makes you stand out. I personally don't really believe in spikes. And there are multiple reasons for this, and I'll cover that more in my like college application like mega thread that I'm doing next month. If you check out my community posts, I have it on there. But the reason why I don't really believe in it is because everyone has something that stands out. Like, it just depends on how you write it. And so when people say I don't really have much of a spike, what that reads to me is you don't have an extracurricular that really stands out that much. And that's completely fine. It's more about the overall cohesive story that you tell. You don't have to be well-rounded by any means, but you do have to be like, if I want to apply as a certain major, you need to have sufficient reason as to why you're doing that, right? So you need to have that rounded out, and then maybe a few more interesting things that kind of set you apart. And then as for your spike, you can develop that through your personality, you can develop that through like prioritizing and ranking your different college activities and honors and stuff. So if you don't have much of a spike, let's see why that is. My stats/GPA are too low for UC, let alone other top 20 school. I'm also considering Brown, Princeton, Stanford, but UC is the dream. Chance me, please. The thing about stats and GPA is you'll always hear these stories about both sides, right? About like, oh my god, the kid who got like 1600 on the SAT got rejected from this school. How can this be possible? Well, it's fully possible, because if you have a boring profile and you don't really stand out and your essays are not great, you're going to get rejected even though your stats are perfect, because that just means that you know how to study, but you're like not a real person. On the other hand, you've heard of these stories where like, oh my god, this girl with like a 1300 SAT and like a 2-point-something GPA got accepted to like a super high school. And that probably means that they have something really special going for them, that they're probably a citizen from that country and they just are really extraordinary, right? Don't gun for any one of these. Like, don't rely on any one of these to develop a train of logic as to whether they'll get into college, right? Be cautionary, because the majority of kids who get into college at specific like top colleges do have really good stats plus something special, right? That's just the majority formula. Of course, there are some situations where like there's some like interesting things that happen that catch headlines, but by no means should you take that as like, oh, it doesn't matter if I have a 2.5 GPA, I don't need to study hard in high school because I might get into college anyways. You might, but it may not be your dream college, because there's just so many factors that go into that. So on the other hand, also don't be too beaten down if your stats are too low, because you do have a chance, right? So go for it, try to sharpen every other aspect, and cross your fingers and hope for the best. That's all we can do. Alright, applying somewhere in the field of bio, neuro, biochem, hopefully pre-med, applying from within the US. If you want to be pre-med and your GPA is low, that might be a little bit tough for you, but let's take a look. Okay, so coursework. Chem Honors, AP AB, AP BC, AP Bio, Honors Literature. I can see why your GPA isn't that high, because your courses are hard. 3.92 unweighted, 4.23 weighted. I don't really know how GPA works within the US, but I'm going to say that your GPA is pretty high. I think a 3.92 unweighted is a pretty high GPA. Ranking, they don't know our ranks, but I know I'm in the top 9%. The top 9% is pretty good as well, right? Like, let me just make sure I'm not giving anyone like the wrong idea or anything, but I'm pretty sure. So say you have like 300 people in your grade, right? So it's 0.09 times 300. You're top 27. You're good. Like, I don't know what you mean by your stats/GPA are too low for UC. I think you're fine. I think definitely apply. Ranking, they won't tell us. PSAT 1510, National Merit semi-finalist. Your stats are not too low. SAT 1520, oops, 1530, super score. It's good. It's definitely good. Your SAT 1530, right? It's above 1500. But if you can retake it, and oh no, you already retook it once. Okay, then don't retake it anymore. 1530 is absolutely fine. But if you can get above a 1550, that's like insane, or 1540, that's amazing. I feel like that's another tier. But 1530 is 100% good. And I think overall, your academics would be in the high, but not like the highest range, right? So you've been like the high scenario. Research experience. Working with a team to design and carry out our experiment, wrote a research paper and presented at a conference. That's pretty cool. That's not a lot of detail, but I mean, you don't have to tell me all that detail. I'm just a stranger on the internet. But if you have wrote a research paper and you presented it at a conference, and it's a pretty prestigious conference, or you can talk about like the percentage of people who get to present, that's great. Especially if the research paper has something to do with your intended major. Medicine/doctor summer program, again, that's great. Tutor other schools in my school, 40 hours total. More like how many kids you tutored and in what subjects. Speech and debate, small semi-finalist, nothing major. Okay, then don't put that up there. Put that lower. Volunteer at an art school for students with special needs. Probably put that a little higher. Been doing art and piano since I was really young. Won regional competition, state honors, awards. Don't put that super high. Probably put that like below speech and debate. Started fundraisers selling my art for various causes. Raised about $1,000. That's pretty good. Alright, here's what I'll say for you. So it seems to me that you have a medicine/bio and art thing going on. And so if you are intending to go to UChicago, find something to relate the two, right? Because I think these two are a really cool way to unite. You have both things that about, volunteering at an art school for children with special needs. The latter focusing more on, medicine, patient care, while the first one in psychology, and the first one focuses more on art. So it's kind of like the perfect marriage between the two. I would say you have a good profile. Definitely apply to UC. Don't think your stats are too low. I think your stats are fine. Definitely apply to UC. Your essay is going to matter a lot. Your essays are probably going to be what makes or breaks your application, because you really need to stand out as a really interesting person, because your stats are great, right? But there are, I'm not going to say average, but most kids who are at UC probably have similar or slightly better stats. So I'm saying that you're not like very, very special, and that if I look at your stats, I immediately think you're going to get into certain schools, but I think you have a pretty good chance. Stanford's going to be a bit tough, not going to lie. It depends on the conference, it depends on the research paper, it depends on the program, but from what I know, Stanford's going to be a bit tough. Again, you should still apply, but think about whether you want to EA Stanford or you want to ED UChicago. But if UChicago's the dream, definitely ED UChicago. Brown and Princeton, I don't think Princeton might be your thing, but again, I could be wrong. Brown, definitely apply. Especially since you have that biomedicine thing, I think that's quite fitting for Brown. Moving on to the next person, Viola. Alright, submission type college profile. Hey Chloe, thank you so much for doing this. I'm currently deciding between EDing to either UChicago or Columbia. It's always these two. It's always these two. The main reason for UChicago is their academic rigor and quarter system. Fair. Also, I feel really excited when writing the UChicago Uncommon essay. The essay allows me to show an interesting aspect of myself, and I don't think the supplement essay at Columbia will make me show that characteristic. That's definitely true. The main reason for Columbia is the city of New York and the major called medicine, literature, and society that it offers. Could you please predict my chances of getting into these schools? Which schools do you think I should apply ED to? Also, is my GPA too low? If yes, how can I maximize my chances with other parts of the application? Okay, so I don't think your GPA is going to be too low. Just first off, you should always apply ED to your dream schools regardless if your GPA is too low or not, unless it's like really low, in which case probably rethink your chances and think about why you want to go to these schools other than the prestige. But let's take a look. I'm an international student from China. I am an international student from China, currently studying in Toronto. Oh no, the process is going to be so much more difficult for you just because you're an international student. Okay. My unweighted GPA is around an 89%. In sophomore year, I took a CS class. Oh my lord, I did the same thing. It dragged my GPA down, but taking CS in high school, man, really. Besides, my school has strong grade deflation, but I believe my class rank is pretty high. Okay, well, if your high school doesn't provide it and your counselor knows your academic ability, if your counselor is writing one of your recommendation letters, definitely ask her to just drop that ranking somewhere in there. It can be a percentage, it can be just like an estimate, like something along those lines. You just want to give the school an idea that your high school is quite difficult if your school doesn't provide that already. 89%, definitely try to get it a bit higher, but I mean, if that's not possible, then let's look at the other parts of the application. I'm aiming for 1550 SAT or 34 ACT. I think a 1550 SAT is better than a 34 ACT. I think if you get a 1560, 1570, 1580 SAT, it's more like a 35 ACT. So if you get it, that's great. Try to get it, please. That's great. AP, hopefully 5 in human geography, macro, econ, English, lying, and stats. That's good. SAT 2, 750 to 800 on math 2, lit, and US history. If you can get a 750 or above for US history and literature, that's give yourself a pat on the back. It's pretty good. For math 2, try to get an 800 just because you're an international student from China and everyone from China applies with an 800. Like I'm not trying to brag or be discouraged. It's just that's just a fact. Like everyone gets an 800 on the SAT 2 math and physics. And that's just the situation. So try to get an 800. Recommendation letter from an English teacher who knows me pretty well, a philosophy teacher who is also the advisor for my nonprofit. I like that. That's pretty good. If you can find a way to maybe get the philosophy teacher to talk more about your nonprofit, just make sure that when you're communicating with the teachers that they emphasize different characteristics, but still, you know, it makes sense to the overall person. Like your English teacher who knows you pretty well, like just, you know, give them some sort of an indication as to what you might want them to talk about. I know when I was asking my like teachers to recommend me, I definitely hinted more as like, oh, please talk about my this 2 characteristics or talk about this thing. And I mean, they agreed, but if your teachers don't agree, then just cross your fingers and hope for the best, but try to do that if you can. Additional recommendation letter from the senior editor at the journalism company I interned at, and from my student's mother who knows me really well. Both are good. I didn't know you could submit 4 recommendation letters. Are the last 2 the same thing? Okay, well, I'm not too sure, but that sounds great. You can talk about your work ethic, you can talk about your creativity, you can talk about your like discipline, all of that stuff, time management. That's great. Let's look at your college profile. Okay, well, since you don't want to show the whole college profile to the public, then I will not do that. I'll just put like the header for each thing. So Literacy for Everyone is a registered nonprofit and you're the founder for that. That's really amazing. Congratulations. I think that's great. I think if you want to focus more on like the teaching aspect of it, it could bind really well with your whole spiel about like trying to tutor students and teaching and journalism, because I feel like that's a consistent theme throughout your extracurriculars, right? So you were a teacher at this certain high school and you were also a reading tutor for this program at a library. You interned at this journalism organization. You were, again, a tutor for Mandarin. You were a head of writing. I don't know. I think your profile is pretty good. It's a lot of educational stuff. It's a lot of like tutoring, mentoring, teaching people things. And I think that's great. And also some like cultural stuff. I think that's great. The only thing I have a little bit, like I'm a bit concerned about is it doesn't scream a certain major to me. Like it doesn't seem to, like for example, I know you were interested in like medicine, literature, and society. But your profile doesn't scream medicine, literature, and society to me. Of course, you can always not apply as that profile, get into Columbia, and then take that major, right? But think about what major in both UChicago and Columbia that you can apply to. But just by looking at your stats, right? I think if you'd pick UChicago or Columbia, both you could get into. Assuming, you get the highest stats and you write a really good essay, and that's going to be, again, the kicker is going to be your essay. You really have to nail that essay. And you stand a pretty decent chance of getting into either of them. I will say that if you write a more creative and more sophisticated essay for UChicago, and judging by the response about how you talk about the uncommon essay, I feel like that is the case, you might stand a better chance at getting into UChicago than Columbia, just because if I remember correctly, the Columbia questions are something about listing out all the books or media or TV shows or something that you watch, as well as like impact on community. You have a lot of community impact, but you need to be able to convey that in a creative and unique way. You can't just go on and say, I'm teaching kids because I want to nurture our future generation and, make them have an opportunity at living, yada yada. It's a bit cliche. Have a better way to frame that. Maybe talk about a specific incident, and then you can talk about how many students you've taught in total across all your different programs and why you did so many different things, right? Something along those lines I think will probably be more beneficial to you. And yeah, I think you have a pretty good profile. It's above average / average higher for UChicago and Columbia in my opinion. And I think it will come down to your essays. So write a really creative essay for both the personal statement for both colleges, and for your uncommon essay, try to showcase a part of yourself that you think is the most interesting, right? Write an essay that when other people read and you show other people to read, tell them what kind of person they feel. I feel like you can write about kindness, you can write about self-awareness, you can write about like insecurity and how you've strengthened that and like turned that into positive impact. But I know that sounds cliche, but try to frame it in a story or frame it in something that doesn't sound that cliche, and that could be really powerful. Like, I know this kid who got into Stanford, and for his recommendation letter, instead of asking like the boss of his company, he asked a janitor to write it. And the college admissions counselors were very touched by his application, and it really showed courage in being able to do that. And I feel like you have the potential to do something along those lines just because you've taught so many kids. And as for Columbia, again, since you have a more creative personal statement, maybe focus on something more community impact on that one. But yeah, I think you stand a pretty good chance for both of them, but probably UChicago a bit better because UChicago doesn't care as much about your GPA and cares more about your personality. Of course they still do, but not as much. So yeah, that would be my recommendations for Viola. So, next one. Okay, Alyeska? I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, but yeah, this is a question. As an incoming econ major at UChicago, I'm a little nervous. Could you talk a little bit about recruitment and career prospects in terms of finance after graduation? UChicago pre-Frosh also just admitted off the waitlist for UPenn. I'm sticking with UChicago for a lot of reasons, but I was just a little concerned about my career prospects. Don't be. For finance, even though, yes, if you go to UPenn, a lot more people at UPenn do finance than people at UChicago, but there's a big finance econ community at UChicago. Like, it's really big. And UChicago is a target school for a lot of these like major firms, and UChicago also does this like job shadowing pairing program. Like, I was matched with Morgan Stanley for my like New York spring break job shadowing program, and I got to spend like an amazing time there just job shadowing a UChicago alum who works there in fixed income, which happens to be the one I'm really interested in anyways. So don't worry too much about how the university will help you, because they do have a lot of resources, we have a lot of resources, and there are a lot of advisors and alumni available. However, I will say that I know for UPenn, there are a lot more info sessions that come, and you get to kind of pick like which ones you want to go to. For UChicago, if you are more like an insecure person, you just want to get something, like you want to just do something as best as you can. If you work hard, you grind, you go to every info session, you know, like you go to every info session, you talk to alumni, you join these clubs, you will 100%, I guarantee it, you will 100% get a placement in the company that you like. If not, the second or third company that you like. So like, you know, there are top 4, you will get an internship at one of these. I almost guarantee it. Everyone I know at UChicago, either for their first or second year, has gotten an internship one way or the other, even though they were really stressed about it the whole time. And later on, they have either transitioned to the company they really liked, or ultimately they ended up switching an internship and going that route anyways. There are many, many resources at UChicago that allow you to do that, and especially since you're already going to be here, your skills when you learn in Econ are going to benefit you so much in your internship. After getting to college, you will realize that the place you go does not matter as much as you think it does. Like, it really doesn't make a difference. What makes a difference at college is how hard you work and whether you have that sense of direction. I'm not saying you need to work harder at UChicago to get the same internships at Penn, but specifically for finance, if it's a specific firm, you have less alumni to reach out to. However, you also have less people competing for these same internships, because at Penn, a lot more people are going to be competing for these same spots, while at UChicago, there's going to be lesser, but the community itself is going to be more like just as like, you know, on and like intense about it. And that's fine, right? That's part of finance. You're looking for that kind of like drive, the hustle. Usually people in finance are like that, and I guarantee you will be fine. And you sound like someone who is very intelligent and very driven and knows what you want. So overall, I think you don't really need to worry about your career prospects. If anything, I think what you can do before you come to UChicago is try your best to figure out what parts in finance you're interested in. Investment banking, like M&A stuff within investment banking, fixed income, debt and restructuring, like sales and trading. Like there are many different aspects of finance. Try to figure out one or two that you're interested in, or even like consulting, because there's so many different options and so many specializations. Try not to waste time trying out every single one before you get into one of them. Oh, VC too, I forgot about that, like venture capital. So try to like go through the list, do an internship, take some online classes, figure out which one or two you're interested in. That will save you so much time, and then you will definitely be ahead of the curve at UChicago. Like, don't worry about it. Okay, next person is hi. College profile. If you could take a look at my college profile and suggest improvements and other things I should be doing, that'd be great. SAT 1570. Perfect. We'd love to see it. Very high. 780 plus, very likely. Okay. Physics 750 plus, French 750 plus. I mean, it's good. A levels, 4 A stars. Nice. Math, further math, econ, and French. Very nice. Economics, intended major, applying from the UK. Okay. Online economics study guide. I'm leading a project, drafting in team members from 3 countries to create an economic study guide. Okay, so maybe it's just the way you phrase it, but that doesn't sound really cool to me. Maybe if you say publish an economics study handbook, that could be better. Or you could say create like a website as like a resource for GCSE and A-level econ students. That's also better. So that could just be the way you phrase it, depending on the scale of the project. Debating, participated in multiple debating competitions, both at a school level and also in a national competition, where my school reached the podium stage in regional finals. I'm also part of the debating society. Great. Again, you need to change the way you phrase it. Don't say participated in multiple debating competitions. Say won how many, competed in how many, you know, like action verbs. French Society, founded the French Society. That's cool. That should be higher than debate, and potentially higher than online economic study guide, depending on how big that is. Magazine article. Getting a magazine article published in magazine with 8.5 plus million monthly visits on economic and financial education. That's really cool. Don't say magazine article, just say publication. Cool. Bronze Duke of Edinburgh Award. As part of the Bronze DFE program, I worked in the charity shop for the disabled for 6 months, helped clean the floor, spoke to customers, managed the till. Also very interesting, but that's definitely falling more in the community service, volunteering kind of category, and so it doesn't really show anything about yourself. Of course, it shows like, you know, selflessness, willing effort to put in time. Everyone kind of has that on their profile though, so that's not something that really stood out. Alright, let's see, what else is there? UKMT math competitions, consistently qualify for Kangaroo Olympia follow-on rounds. That's really cool. That needs to be higher. PPE community project, have taken in a community project donating 1,000 face shields to care homes and pharmacies throughout the region. Also higher. Karate, I have a black belt. Okay, well, karate should be lower on that activity common app list. Okay, so I will say that you are the president of French Society. You debate, you create online study resource, you published an article, you've won awards for working in a charity shop, as well as math competitions, and in addition to like the previous charity point, you also do community projects and some sports on the side. You have a pretty good college profile, but nothing really stands out. The French thing is really cool because you're also taking that as an A level and you're really high in terms of that. Also, I don't know what school you want to get into. Like, is this a UK school? Is it UChicago? Because that's really going to depend. If it's UChicago, well, I'm assuming your GPA is like pretty perfect because A star, right? And 1570 SAT. So you definitely reach like the high tier for GPA. In terms of your like activities, I think you have a pretty good chance, but they're a little bit spread out. So you have like an economic study guide, you have math competitions, you have public speaking, you have French, you have like magazine articles, and you have community service. That's 6 different things in 6 different locations, right? So that shows that you're a really well-rounded person, but it doesn't show me that you have a particular interest or a spike, if you will, right? So you either have to really highlight whatever it is you want to do or are interested in your essay, or really show a part about yourself that unites at least a couple of these activities, right? Like, what is it that drives you? Why is it that you do these things? Don't say selflessness, because that's a little bit cliche. You can say bravery, you can say challenging yourself, you can say self-awareness and improvement. You can say curiosity and wonder, right? You can say like a lot of these things. I've just listed a couple that I think are common but not that common, and I think are just strong traits that colleges are looking for and emphasize. And yeah, I think your extracurriculars are really good, but it depends on what school, right? So for UChicago, for UK, I think you're doing fine. I just don't know what major you want to major in. So that's that for that. I hope that was somewhat helpful. Sorry, I just kind of like ranted a little bit, but those are my thoughts. We are back at it. So I took an hour-long break. Well, not really a break, because I went to go teach class. And it's currently 1:30 a.m., but I am wide awake because I woke up at like noon today, so we're on a roll here. Alright, so next one is by Oop. That's cute. Describe your main question / anything you'd like me to address specifically. Okay, so I was wondering if you thought this would be a good essay idea and maybe how I could write my essay so it doesn't turn into another sob story essay. My father was diagnosed with brain cancer, oh my god, when I was 9 and sadly passed away last summer after fighting for 6 years. Oh lord. I wanted to write about how much of an influence he has had on me to succeed both in soccer, he taught me soccer and coaching since I was 3, and in school. His mindset to continue to fight is very inspirational and definitely left an imprint on me. I guess I just don't know if I have to get more creative with it. Okay. Usually, I would not recommend writing sob stories just because, you know, pity parties, like no one wants to read your own personal pity party. However, this is a big event. It doesn't matter who this happens to. This is an objectively, like, simultaneously very inspiring but also very sad and tragic event, right? So definitely write about it. Like, if you don't write about it, I doubt there'll be any other incident in your life as impactful as this one. So I would definitely recommend you to write about it. As for being more creative, I would say, okay, there are a couple ways you can go about it. You can get the thing out in the air, so just state it, and in the rest of the essay, you don't really spend that much time talking about how this is a sad situation and talking about how inspirational he is, but rather talk about something really small, how he inspired you, and that could be something that's really heartwarming and sweet. Or you could talk about how you went to go visit your dad and how you talk with your dad every day and all the things he would tell you, and don't mention the fact that he has brain cancer or that he passed away until the very, very end, like last paragraph or last like couple sentences of the essay, and then suddenly just bam, pack that, like just blow it at the admissions officer. So as they read it, you know, have an interesting enough opening so they keep reading, they pay attention, and at the very end they're like, oh my god, right? Like either way, you're going to leave an impact. Identify the couple of traits that you think most exemplify you and your experience by you know, via this story. So it could be resilience, because that definitely applies here. It could be creativity, it could be curiosity, it could be tenacity, it could be wonder, it could be how to deal with sadness and failure and what it means to carry that weight with you and somehow turn that into something that's motivational, right? Like how you've been able to survive and thrive for the last 6 years during his struggle is very inspirational to anybody. So definitely think about what characteristics you would like to highlight and then write your story to frame it that way. I think that's how I would go about doing it. Insert some facts about you here. 4.1 GPA on a scale of 5. That's not a very high GPA. I'm just gonna be honest, it's not a super high GPA, especially out of 5, but it's not low. 30 practice ACTs, haven't been able to take it yet. Definitely try to get your ACT higher. If you won't be able to bump up your GPA, your ACT is your only way to go. I would recommend getting it up to 33 or higher. Why are my pillows here? Get it up to 33 would be great. 33 is good. Co-leader of Latin Association, captain for soccer team, member of mock trial, pre-med, feminist club, yearbook, student leader association, played club soccer. I'm Salvador American and will be a first-generation student. That's great. We love that. Very inspirational story. Kind of, you know, defines you as a person as well. Along with the fact that, like, co-leader of this association, captain for soccer team, all of these things builds up a really interesting profile with a lot of leadership. So now it's up to you as a person. And I feel like because you have such a big event to talk about, you can definitely tie it into your other parts of your life, and it would make you a cohesive and like a full person. Interested in public health. I've done a lot of conferences, programs involving medicine, leadership. I don't know if the colleges look at that. They definitely do. Definitely include that. You may not want to write about it, but maybe you can write about soccer and medicine in one essay, like soccer and public health and how that's one thing. And then your other essay can talk about a bit more about yourself along with your experience and your family's story. That's how I would recommend structuring your profile. Overall, I think you have a pretty good chance of getting into UChicago if that is the school you want to get into. You don't specify, but I'm assuming because you sent it to me, maybe that's the case. As long as you try to get your ACT up and write a really stunning essay. You need one that will be impactful and powerful and that will stay with the admissions officer, because your story definitely is very memorable. Like, I may not remember alley-oop, but I will remember this story for a while. So definitely find a way to write a story so that it does that justice, right? So I would say write an essay and then send your friends these essays to your friends if it's something you can feel comfortable about sharing, along with maybe some other essays you found, like other sob story essays you found online, and ask them like which one catches their attention the most, or send it to strangers, or I don't know, someone. What you want something that doesn't just leave the admissions officer feeling negative and sorry for you, but makes you feel like, oh my god, I can't believe what she's gone through. I can't believe she's this kind of person now. Like, that's insane, that she must be amazing. That's the kind of feeling you want to leave them with, right? Something positive, something impactful, something change the world, something. Alright, okay. That's it for me. Next one is JL. Just want to start off by saying thank you for your videos. You certainly play a role in helping me decide to ED1 to UChicago. I'm always really happy to hear that, and just a little bit scared because when I was deciding whether to ED to UChicago or not, I didn't have a UChicago student tell me their experience, so that's why I wanted to start this channel to kind of do that. But on the other hand, I don't want to influence you in one direction just because the other school didn't have a YouTuber or someone talking about their experience, but I trust that it's all for the better and you'll enjoy your time here if you get in. Can you look at your profile and tell me your honest opinion? Got it. Brutally honest is my middle name. Intended major, Econ/Poli/public policy analysis. Asian male. Asian male is tough. Public school in Michigan. Are you American? Because if you're American, that's going to be a slightly different story than if you're an international student studying in Michigan. But anyhow, I'll keep that in mind. 3.954 unweighted, 4.5363 weighted. I think that's a really high GPA. Like, really high. ACT, 235s, 36 super score. I can't believe you retook the ACT when you got a 35, but congratulations. 36 is an amazing score. It's full score, Chloe, what are you talking about? You can't go higher than 36. Okay. 9 APs after junior year, 1 self-study, 13 after senior year. Cool. 13 APs I think is great. I didn't take the AP program, but I'm pretty sure that's a lot of APs, so good job. Senior year dual enrollment for Calc 3 and intermediate macroeconomics. Also not sure what dual enrollment implies. I'm sure you took both of them, and that's great. Okay, now on to the extracurriculars, which is going to be the more important part because you've proven with your stats that you are very academically competent. Like, you're as academically competent as it's going to get. So now it's on to your activities and your essay. Essay. One of 2 student representatives on city planning board. Like the actual city planning? Oh, that's really cool. One of 2 student reps on my school district development committee. Offer input, vote on district-wide decisions like new courses or new... That's really cool. Nice. That's really insane. That also means that you must be American, right? Like, that's really cool. That's really amazing. Student voice, student rep for school staff meetings, etc. Okay. Link crew leader, mentor for freshman students. I don't know what link crew is, but mentoring. New student welcome committee leader, character education committee, input school values. 4-year varsity soccer captain for 2 years, currently working voluntary for county prosecutor campaign. My concerns are no SAT subjects is until this August, only shot before ED. Definitely study hard, grind, but also don't worry too much about it. Don't take too many SAT 2s. And yeah, do what you feel comfortable in and study really hard for them because you won't get a second chance. No major awards / national competitions. That's true. You don't really have any major awards or national competitions or international competitions. And I guess, yeah, your school doesn't have any precedents of people going to UChicago. However, that's not something you should be too worried about. My school does send a lot of people to my school does send a lot of kids to top schools, but there's only one person before me in the last 4 or 5 years who's gone to UChicago, and they were me and another person in my year. So definitely don't let that deter you from applying. Definitely apply to UChicago, and I'm glad that you've already decided to ED. Even though you don't have many national or international awards, but your profile makes a lot of sense. Like, I don't know if this seems cohesive to anyone else, but this seems very cohesive to me. Like, you are someone who enjoys representation, you enjoy being the voice for students, right? You're a student representative on 2 different boards, you're a student representative for your like school district staff, for your like character education committee, for like welcome leader, you'd volunteer for county prosecution. Like, it just seems to me that there's a lot of representation stuff going on, a lot of like being outspoken, being a community leader, community impact, you definitely have that checked. So what that reads to me is, maybe don't put economics, just because economics major is very popular at UChicago. Don't put that first, for sure. Public policy, bump that up. I would say put your first choice intended major as public policy, second choice intended major as poli-sci. I think that's the route you should go, because your profile just screams public policy to me. Not so much econ. And because econ is so competitive, you don't want the admissions counselor to just kind of like put you in the econ pile of students, but, you know, be more creative with it. I think poli-sci you stand a really solid chance. Your stats are amazing and your ECAs are great. Now it's up to your essays. You need to somehow work in your characteristics that make you such an outspoken, representative person, but don't make it seem like just like a list of like you humble bragging, you know? So for your UChicago essay, for the uncommon one, maybe start off with something creative and then tie in some of the characteristics that have caused you to do some of these extracurriculars, and then for your personal statement, or maybe swap it. But anyhow, mention your extracurriculars briefly only in one of the essays, and then write a banging why UChicago essay, and then write a very creative, something about yourself, you know, show me another part of yourself other than this outspoken, very like campaignish person. Show me something else in another essay. So your 3 essays should be 1 creative one focusing on UChicago, 1 more creative one focusing on yourself, and 1 kind of dropping your characteristic about yourself combined with your extracurriculars. I think that's the route you should go. But overall, I'm really impressed with your profile, and I think if you nail your essays, you have a pretty good chance of getting to UChicago. Yeah, your stats are solid, your ECAs are solid. So good luck on that, JL. Currently 2 a.m. and I just gotta power through these, you guys, because I really want to go to bed. But I know that you guys are waiting on these, and I just need to get my shit together and push this video out. So here I am. Give this video a thumbs up if you're still watching. But alright, so next person is JS. Hi, first of all, big fan. I think you were my supervisor for PAs in Undecided like 2 years ago. Someone knows me from my Undecided days. I'm in a boarding school in America now since sophomore year. Okay, cool. I just want to ask whether you could look at my college profile and see what I can do the last few months before applications begin. This may be one of the worst profiles you have seen, lol. I assure you it will not be, but I still want some advice from the master. Thanks. I'm not the master, but thank you anyways. ACT 34. That's great. GPA 4.14 out of 4.3. Also good. Academics, AP Calc BC, Comp Sci A, World History, all 5s. Currently waiting for computer science principles, stats, A push, chem, and literature. Well, fingers crossed are all 5s. Extracurricular, playing the violin / viola and orchestra, robotics club, mathematics club leader. Awesome math, 2 years. World Youth Economic Forum, 2 years. Assistant director, 2nd year. Duke Math Meet in Kunshan, Zhejiang University AI and Robotics Lab summer camp. Okay, so a lot of my math and robotics stuff. 2-year all-state musician. Nice. Meritorious award for high school international math modeling competition twice. Nice! Same award for international math modeling competition. Oh, cool. I don't know what the meritorious award is, but that sounds pretty cool. I just feel like I have nothing super impressive or stands out, and I may have a little less extracurricular than a lot of the applicants. I plan on to apply something like mathematics or data science, but I messed up competitions like USA, Co, and AMC. Oh, that's really sad, because I was just about to say, if you're good at math, you should probably try to go into like AMC or like IME or like USMO or something like that, right? Okay, well, the painful part about this is you have a lot of stuff going for you for math and robotics and music, right? So your whole spiel, depending on what school you want to get into, but I mean, you're sending this to me, so maybe like UChicago or a similar college, maybe push the whole math and music situation, right? You have a really high GPA and you have a really high ACT score. The problem is that your extracurriculars are just kind of like meh, like I just read them and I kind of forgot what they are already. So definitely stress the whole maybe math and music thing and talk about why you like the two, maybe how they intersect, how they like an interdisciplinary science, why these two are a good blend for you, and most importantly, your essays really have to show creativity. Like, you, more than anyone else, you are an Asian male, probably, doing math and robotics and music. Like, it is the most cliche profile that I could design if I were designing like a cliche profile, right? So I'm not saying that to discourage you. I'm just saying that to emphasize that you definitely need to spend a lot of time into your like essays. Specifically, find an aspect of yourself that you think is kind of cool or a little bit fun, or you know, something. It could be absolutely anything. I have so many essays that I just really like, and I will go over them later in my like August college apps series videos, but basically I'll show you guys like examples of my favorite essays. But one of them is about how this girl, and I think this was in a Harvard collection of essays, so essays that were admitted to Harvard, and it was about this girl, how she will only wear her lucky shirt to competitions, and if she loses a competition, she will throw away the shirt. Like, she'll never wear it again. And I just really related to that. Like, I think about like a lucky pencil or something, or a lucky sock or something along those lines, where like it's the same for me. I have this blue shirt that I will always wear to every competition, and if you go to SHSID, you know what blue shirt I'm talking about. I've worn it to every competition, and so far, I've always gotten first or second. It has not let me down yet. So I always wear it as kind of like my good luck charm. And one day, if I wear that shirt and I go somewhere and I don't end up getting first or second, or like I feel just bad in the shirt and I no longer feel confident, I'm not wearing that anymore. I'm gonna change one, right? Like, sometimes you just have this item that like just you're attached to. You need an essay like that. You need something that people can relate to, that's like kind of funny, but also shows your personality, right? Because for that girl, her essay, it showed her tenacity and her like determination, but it showed it in a very fun and creative way. It made her seem sometimes a bit like unreasonable or impractical, but overall it's kind of in like a light-hearted, kind of like funny, comedic way. So you need something like that. You need something that you do, some habit, some idiosyncrasy, some quirk that kind of just makes you kind of a special person. Like, I can think of so many for myself, but not all of them will make good essays. But like, for example, I put on a sock and then the shoe, and then the sock and then the shoe. I don't put sock, sock, shoe, shoe, because I like to get one thing completely done and then move on to the next thing. That could be something I could link to. I don't really like to tend to my bruises, and I can just like let them like splatter on my body, because I like the constant reminder that I've done this thing, I've done that, and it gives me strength and it makes me feel accomplished, right? Something as small as bruises I can compare to something much larger. You can talk about how you thrift clothing, and every time you wear something new, it feels like you're a brand new person, or you embody a little bit of this like random person's personality. You can talk about how you go on a bus or a metro station and you see all of these different interesting things, and you know, you're just kind of just like vibing with the world, and show how you and the world intersect and find that tangent line, right? You're a math major. There's so many different cool concepts in math. There's infinity, there's zero, there's paradoxes, there's chaos, there's so many that I probably don't even know about because I don't do math. Like, you can find probably a lot in music and math as well, both of them. We can just pick music, you can just pick math. But point being is, you need something that will make you stand out, right? Don't be a math major just because you're good at math. Be a math major because you see the world through math, and you just see something so fun and interesting that like normal people, quote unquote, who are not you, wouldn't be able to see that because they don't have your experience. Like, that's the kind of vibe you want to give to college like admissions officers, that you have a unique perspective that was granted to you by the subject and the experiences in all these competitions you've done. Right, so that's my advice to you. This one is Stanley. Question 1, I feel like my profile is kind of skewed. Will that be a problem, and especially in the Chinese application pool? Well, we'll see what kind of skewed. Question 2, does my school give me an advantage over other schools? What are my chances of getting into UChicago? Oh, you're from SHSID. So I think it probably gives you a bit of an advantage because there are multiple people who've gotten into SHSID. There are multiple people from SHSID who's gotten into UChicago. There were 3 my year, 2 ended up going, and we have, I think, 2 or 3 in the year below me, and then potentially more. I don't know. I think 2 or 3 in the year below me, and then like that's it. So there's been a consistent like trend in terms of UChicago taking students from our school. So I will say that it gives you a bit of advantage, especially those that UChicago hasn't really admitted anyone in. However, that doesn't mean that as long as I become top 2 of my school, UChicago will take me, right? It means that if you are a good fit for UChicago, the UChicago will take you and will look at the school for sure. That's what you know. Alright, is PKU possible? Are you talking about like Peking University? Yeah, for sure. Well, it's definitely possible, but let's take a look at your chances. So, first up, it's the college list. You're hitting me again with all the color coding. Okay, green is safety, yellow is match, and orange is reach. Okay, so let's look at your reach schools first. Okay, so everything seems to be economics or business for your, like, major. UChicago and, oh, okay, I guess you want to ED UChicago. Okay, cool. And then Northwestern, Cornell, and Brown and Peking University. These are your few options for reach. And then match school is Cambridge, USC, Emory, Georgetown, Carnegie, UMich, NYU, LSE, Imperial, UCLA, UC Berkeley. I mean, I'll have to look at your profile, but putting Cambridge and Imperial as your match schools is quite bold. Like, I wouldn't put Oxford as my match school. I'll definitely put it as a reach school, but yeah. And its safeties are HKU and Wisconsin-Madison, UC Davis, and Boston College. I think the safeties are fine. All right, let's take a look at your scores. Oh my god, your GPA is high. Okay, well, your grade 9 and grade 10 GPA is kind of terrible. You got 3.8 both times, which is not great. However, your grade 11 GPA is 4.3, but that also means your overall GPA just will not be that high. So let's just take a look, right? Let's assume that it's 0.25 per year. No, it's 0.5 for grade 11 and then 0.25 at the previous 2 years. So this is specific to my school, by the way. So I don't know how other people would do it, but let's do, so just 0.25 times 3.854 equals this, plus 0.25 times, actually let's just do 0.5 times 3.855, let's just do a little higher, right, plus 4.315 divided by 2. So overall GPA is a 4.08, which is not low by any means. It's just not that high, because I believe the full score for SHSID is a 4.4-ish. So it's a 4.08 out of a 4.4, not including your first, like, semester of 12th grade, which for UChicago, you will have the 4.08 as your GPA, but for your future colleges, if you don't get into UChicago, then your GPA might be a little higher if you do well in senior year. Your IB predictive is really, really high. It's like full score, so that's great. TOEFL, 114 out of 120, that's great. SAT 1, 1510. That's not great. Would suggest you to get a little higher just because your match and your reach schools are pretty, like, GPA intensive. So I would suggest you to get that slightly higher. Alright, so this is your school session. Oh, you went to the UChicago summer session. Okay, that's cool. And so you're currently there. Okay. International Math Modeling Challenge, team leader for 2 years. Greater China Regional Round Global Finalist, Global Round Meritorious, and Finalist. Didn't we have an International Math Modeling kid? Okay, this is odd. High School Math Modeling, Mathematical Competition in Modeling. Team leader for 3 years. International Economics Olympiad. Oh, I know this competition. National Economics Challenge. A bunch of these. IME Qualifier. Nice! AMC 10 and AMC 12. And then USMO, American Online Math Invitational. Alright, let's look at extracurricular. So a lot of math and econ stuff. Economics Club, all of this stuff. NEC Ambassador, Math Modeling Club, Unicorn Analytics. That's really cool. I didn't have this when I was in SHSID, but I wish I would have. That's really cool. You do run a website that provides analysis of rising unicorn startups. That's really cool. Youth Business League, ASB, Data Science Research, Abilities and Skills, native in this, yada yada yada. Build a PC from scratch, Piano Level 8, Go amateur level 1. Nice. League of Legends. I don't know how good this is. Actually, let me check with my friend. Okay, I'm gonna tell you this thing and you tell me how good it is. League of Legends Platinum 2, Flex Q. Teamfight Tactics Diamond 3. It's good? Is it good enough to put on a resume? Kind of? Not too sure? Meh? Okay, well, there you go, right? Like, I have no idea what this is, but I mean, it sounds pretty cool. Interest, traveling, collecting metro cards, taking public transportation, drinking tea, mahjong, electronic devices, self-identified characteristics, leadership, kindliness? It's kindness. Confident, humble. Can you be both confident and humble at the same time? I guess you can, yeah. Reckless? Don't put reckless on there. Instead of reckless, you can say spontaneous. Don't put reckless. Reckless is a negative trait. Distracted. Don't put distracted. Distracted is also a negative trait. Maybe something along the lines of like, you're always excited by new things. You're very drawn to things that like inspire you. You know, you get inspired easily. Anything's better than distracted. Distracted is not great. Academic preferences, economics, applied mathematics, business administration, UChicago, Northwestern, Cambridge, and Hong Kong. Okay. So you have a shit ton of math, econ stuff. And not to mention you have like all your extracurriculars also have the math and econ and some business stuff. I think for UChicago, that's a good profile, but you will need to show in your essays to be a lot more creative. Like, especially since you're a math major, there are so many people who are good at math at UChicago. Like, it's insane. Math just is much harder and everyone's just good at math, like, as default. So I would say if you want to go in as like a math major, it makes sense to apply as a math major, by the way. I would even say maybe apply with like the quantitative math, like CAM, so computational and applied maths, as your major, just because math is a little bit more theoretical and it seems yours is more like real world application. So definitely put like CAM as your intended major after you do some research, and maybe put math as second, or put economics as second, or quantitative economics as second, because you need to definitely write a very creative essay that focuses not only on like math but also everything else about you. Try not to mention math or econ in your essays, just because when I look at your resume and I look at your ECAs, immediately what pops out is the econ and the math. Like, there's just so much of it. So definitely focus on like those instead. The creativity part, the parts about your personality. And I will say PKU, I mean, I don't know much about PKU because I didn't go there, so maybe ask someone else. Undecided, I know there are lots of people who've been there before, I think. So go ask them instead, ask the college counselors, because I'm not too sure. And yeah, your dream will be possible as long as you don't write a boring essay, because right now you are an international Chinese kid who likes math and does a lot of math and econ analytics stuff, which is a bit of a cliche profile as well. So definitely try to show that you are a real person, creativity, theoretical, sophisticated, you know, like curious, all of these buzzword characteristics that UChicago likes. So yeah, best of luck, Stanley. All right, next one. So I just posted on TikTok and now it's 3 a.m. So my bad. We're continuing. Okay. Next one is Haman. Your videos changed my life. Oh, that's so sweet. Hi Chloe, I'll just jump right into it. I'm at a point in my college application process where I'm open to ideas and would love to hear your outlook. I'm a rising senior from Iran. Nice. Going into my second year of IBDP. Yay, IB kids. I've attached my uni list and prospects. I've watched every single minute of your last live stream and it's really given me a solid sense of direction. I'm impressed and also a little concerned because it's an hour and a half long and I'm really happy that there's someone out there who's actually watching these videos. So, at the moment my dream picks are Oxford, Yale, and Princeton. Got it. My GPA doesn't really translate well, so I converted it to scale out of 100, sophomore year 98, junior year 100. Okay. For my IB marks, I'm predicted 43 with a 776 in my 4 HLs. I recently found a nonprofit called E6MA7 Aspire in Arabic, which offers high school students career, uni, and subject advice for a fixed fee that feeds into the Royal Charity of Bahrain. Cool. I'm current SG of Haman, the most prestigious mon in the country, with 17 other experiences, a mon that covers the role of director, chair, and delegate. I co-lead our Trade Quest team, which is an economic 7-month rigorous competition where we are tasked with trading stocks and bonds as well as presenting our findings. We ranked 4th nationwide. That's pretty cool. Founder and president of the largest philosophical society in the kingdom, CEO of Mukba, a for-profit company which employs more than 15 part-time students. I have more leadership positions, but I don't want to overcome my achievements to not dilute the individual importance of each. facts, but also for your activities. There are 10 of them, so definitely fill out all 10. I'm not applying to any direct scholarships. However, I'm part of the CPISP Baron Honor Society, which nominates me for a scholarship. In the files, you'll be able to get a grasp of what kind of courses I like. I really want to get into either PPE or the Yale alternative for this EPE. Thank you, and I love your videos. Just, aw, it's so sweet. Also, I've never met someone from Baron, so I really don't know much about the country, or rather the kingdom, but sounds really interesting. I'm glad you have all these amazing achievements, and let's go ahead and dive right into your college profile. So, oh, we're back with the Excel sheets and tables. I love it. Okay, amazing. Oh, you have the courses listed out too. Well, for US universities, it's not going to matter as much because you can pick whatever you like once you get in. But for UK universities, that will matter. All right, so green are top picks, yellow are moderate options, and blue is safety/backup. Harvard, Princeton, Stanford, Yale, UPenn, UChicago, Columbia, MIT, Berkeley. Cornell, Georgetown, Brown, NYU, UCLA, Carnegie Mellon. Your top picks are really tough. Like, I'm just gonna tell you, it's really, really tough. So, good luck on that. But I will say that you're gonna need to write like a banging essay. And I mean, your scores seem to be top tier, and your ECAs are generally pretty good. So as long as you bang out like a really good essay, and you don't include your SAT scores, I think, on this, but you will definitely take the SAT. Say you get like a 1550 or above on the SAT, which puts you in like the highest tier for standardized testing and academics in general. You would still be hard pressed to get into like Harvard, Stanford, MIT, because these schools are just like much more, it's just very unpredictable about who would get in or not, so definitely still apply. I don't know which school you want to ED, but since you know it's between Yale and Princeton, and both of these schools, I believe, is Yale's REA, I think, it's Restrictive Early Action, and Princeton is ED, which means I would probably recommend you to ED Princeton, because then you could also EA UChicago and EA MIT, which then, you know, hits more of the schools you want on your list. Rather, if you do REA for Yale, pretty sure you can't do anything else. Can you still? No, you can't ED with REA and you can't EA as well. Yeah, so I would recommend you to do that. Okay, and then these are the full form essays. Okay, cool. And then as well as UK, Oxford, Cambridge, LSE, St. Andrews, and then you have UCL, Warwick, Durham, Bath, and then you have Lancaster, Exeter, Bristol, and Edinburgh. Okay, well, your UK schools you will probably be able to get into, especially if you're predicted a 43. Ideally, you want your predicted to be a little higher because your scores seem pretty solid. However, that's not really something you can control, so I think your predictive is pretty good. And yeah, I think you seem to be founder, president, CEO of a lot of different things. Your main interests seem to be, a mixture between economics, philosophy, and I guess a little bit of politics, but the Haman thing, but more so like leadership positions in nonprofits and organizations / businesses is my guess, right? Or my like, that's what I get from your profile. It's really difficult for me to tell because your schools are much more academic, and your academics are great, but I don't have any like SAT or ACT or TOEFL. I don't think you need TOEFL. Not sure. For me to kind of give a gauge on like an overall sense, so definitely get those standardized test scores out ASAP. And as for your honors, so these are your like Common App activities, right? For your honors, definitely include the scholarship thing, because I think that stands out, you know, at least makes you shine among your country, or your kingdom. And if you have some sort of award that, you know, is given to you by the government or like by the kingdom, by any sort of just like recognition, that'll be really helpful as well, because you've done so much in terms of nonprofit organizations. Or yeah, I think CEO of a company should probably be up there. And yeah, I don't know, it's really difficult for me to tell because your profile is quite scattered when you look at it from an American university's perspective, because they're not admitting people via their major, right? They're admitting interesting students that they can then operate however they like within the university. But for UK, your profile makes a lot of sense. I have fully like confident that you should be able to get into you put both Oxford and Cambridge on this list, and you'll only be able to apply to one. so you'll have to pick. But assuming that you pick PPE over HSP, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to get into PPE as long as you don't screw up your interviews, which I have a whole series on my channel dedicated to that, so go check that out. But yeah, I think for American universities, your stats just seem to be set. The way you write your applications in your ECA really has to be really crafted. Like, focus on the skills that you've learned, how you've impacted your community, and how you can potentially impact other people, like internationally as well, not just within your kingdom, because I'm pretty sure that has been exemplified already. And for your essays, I think you should have something that focuses on why you want a mixture of PP and E. These are American essays, but I think you should, find some similar commonality or some characteristic about you that shows that. Write that in one essay, and in the other essay, show something about yourself. Because right now, all I know about you is that you seem to do really well in school, and you're the leader of a lot of stuff. And that's about it, right? I don't really know anything else about you as a person beyond that point. So I think definitely work on trying to show a bit more about you. Are you someone who's very self-driven? Are you more like, you like to take up challenges? Is it more like a competition thing? Like, there are many different ways you can express yourself, so it's about picking one and then exemplifying that. Alright, I hope that makes sense. I hope that was a little bit helpful at the very least. Next one is Sarah S. Hi Sarah. Hi Chloe, I would really like to know what you think of my chances are getting into UChicago ED1 based on my stats/extracurriculars. I know there's a lot more that goes into a decision, but I would really value your input. That's the right way to think about it. I have a 32 on the ACT first time I took it, and planning to retake it. Goal is at least a 34. Good. Try to get a 34, 33 and above. My school doesn't calculate GPA, but they say in our transcripts I have mostly A minuses. Okay. My school is also known for being academically difficult, like the high school version of UChicago, so I think that's a consideration too, since UChicago admissions officer from my area knows that. That's definitely an advantage. So, first of all, the fact that UChicago knows your school is already great, and the fact that they know it's a more difficult high school, and assuming, your high school does send some sort of, like, transcript or something that indicates that it is, so that's great. Also, I want to apply to Oxford, but I'm not sure if I should apply to an English or law course. I want to apply to King's College for law, so I don't know how I would write my UCAS statement for both. Well, I believe I have a YouTube video up about how to write a UCAS statement, but I believe there's another YouTuber that's really popular, kind of popular, that also does law specifically. Please go check that, because I didn't apply for law. I do have a friend who applied for Oxford Law, and I will say that she got in based off of, well, first of all, she did the IB program, so she did History HL for IB, which helps a lot in the law program, but also she read a lot of law-related books, and she talked about specific case studies in her, like, UCAS statement. And I remember reading another UCAS statement of someone 1 year above me who was accepted to Cambridge Law, and I remember her whole thing was about the specific case that she worked on when she was interning at a law firm in Shanghai, and how she talked about law in China and how that kind of extrapolates to all the theory that she's read on law. UCAS statements are very much of a similar formula, so as long as you find some successful examples of law personal statements and then model yours after theirs, and then kind of tie in your own extracurriculars plus your own interests, and more importantly the stuff that you've read, and show your academic side of thinking, you should be fine. I'm not sure how it works for non-IB and non-A-level kids applying to UK universities. I've definitely heard of it happening before, but it's a lot more difficult just because it's not a system they're used to. So definitely go scour the websites to try to do that. Alright, so let's take a look at your UChicago stuff. Okay, you have a college list and extracurriculars. Perfect. I go to a very competitive private school for which UChicago takes many students every year, so I really need to stand out from my peers. I'm planning to apply ED1. I'm interested in LLS, but I wouldn't be able to do that until sophomore year there. Do you have any advice on which major I should apply to? Okay, well, let's look at your extracurriculars, but first let's look at the college list. Oh my lord, okay, oh my lord, okay, I'm assuming red is reach, orange is target, and blue is green is safety. Okay. UChicago, Oxford, Vanderbilt, Columbia / Sciences Po, or Trinity College. That's a very prestigious dual MD program, so congratulations. Definitely try your best to get into that one. And then second is Smith, Davidson, KCL, New York, Tulane. I don't think you should have a problem. Actually, you know what? I'm going to look at your stats first before I say that. Wisconsin, Madison, St. Andrews, Scripps, Brandeis University. And then you have a much longer list that kind of covers a lot of the UCs and a lot of like U Florida, U Miami. Got it. Okay, cool. Let's take a look at your stats and /work now. So you did UChicago genre fundamentals in fiction, nice, and in poetry writing workshop. Hopefully you've met and connected with your professor there. Maybe they can write you a recommendation letter, fingers crossed. Not for credit, Princeton / Tel Aviv at University, Human Odyssey to Political Existentialism. Definitely mention that in your UCAS statement. Not sure if you should put that on your Common App, but maybe as an activity or something if you don't have anything to fill that up. Model United Nations, Director General, 4 conferences a year as a senior sophomore. 2 best delegate, 4 outstanding delegate, 2 honorable mention. That's pretty good. Definitely put your best delegate ones on the honors, 5 honors list. Put either 1 or 2, but we'll see. Main current events / opinions publication. Absolutely, that's fine. Make them school specific. Make them obscure. Executive editor, main literary magazine, managing editor. Nice. Business magazine, senior editor, mentoring program, mentor. 2 service teams. You work as a lifeguard. That's really cool. Awards. Grade-wide speech competition for sophomores. I don't know if that should be your first award just because it's something you did in 10th grade. Book awards. Select few juniors receive book awards. Probably move that a little higher. Okay, and that seems to be about it. So put your best delegate awards on there and move your book award a little higher. I think higher than the speech competition award. So what I get from you is you are interested in writing, like a lot of writing. You did fiction workshop, poetry workshop, you're like journalism, publications, literary magazine, editor stuff, and you're also interested in like poli-sci in terms of like public speaking, MON, your political science course and all of that. So I would say if you're applying to American universities, for UChicago for example, you don't have to gear into LLS. Like I know LLS is a kind of like a more difficult major. You can probably put LLS first and maybe put poli-sci or put creative writing as second, just because I think creative writing might be better because it fits your profile a bit more as someone who has a lot of writing related, journalism related, publication related extracurriculars. I think your chances of getting into UChicago are pretty solid. You have mostly A minuses. What does that translate into? Like a 3.8 out of 4? I'm not too sure, I'm sorry, but maybe a 3.9, 3.8 out of 4, I think so. In which case, as long as you get your ACT up, your GPA should be high enough, definitely, for UChicago, so it's not like the super, super high tier, unless you can push up your ACT / GPA a bit more, but it'll be like the second highest tier, so that's pretty good. And then, as for your extracurriculars, I need more action verbs, and I think you can list out a couple more just like skills that you've learned for each of these, because for a lot of your publication stuff, it just means like oversee this, co-organize meetings and stuff. I want quantitative, right? I want to see impact. You know, how many articles did you oversee? How long did you serve for your job? How many hours did you do this per week? What skills have you learned from this? You know, how many publications have you edited? How many have you written? Stuff like that. I think that will really help like plump up your profile a little bit. And I think you have a decent chance of getting into UChicago. In your essay though, I want you to focus on a bit of writing and how that makes you feel inspired and curious and more interesting as a person. And maybe in the other one you can talk a little bit about your like view of the world, politics, like thread in politics just a little bit, but don't focus too much on it. And then for your other essay, or your Y essay or something, focus on like your passion for the school. Like that's just up to your research and find a creative way of writing that. And I think you should be fine. Because you're a magazine editor, maybe consider making your Y essay like a magazine spread or like an ad spread or something like that. I don't know exactly what you do for your managing editor position. But I would say if you have something that's more like graphic design related and you can like design a little brochure or design like something for UChicago and then have your Y essay formatted that way, could be cool. Again, I'm just throwing out ideas because it's a very writing related like profile that I'm seeing here and you kind of want to delve into that, right? But show how writing is intrinsically a part of yourself. Alright, okay, that's it for me. Well, I hope this was useful and good luck, Sarah. The next one is Mia. I'm thinking of which schools I want to apply ED/EA. I'm also considering other colleges I want to apply. Maybe you can give me some last minute tips to boost my application and tell me which schools you think I'm the best fit for. Okay, I have an autoimmune condition that has impacted my life greatly. Well, depending on how much you would like to share about that, I would say maybe consider putting that or just mention it in a personal statement essay. or talk about something that doesn't have to do with resilience. Talk about like what you've observed, your new view of the world, maybe like the view from your hospital bed or the view from like this, or something that's impacted your perspective, instead of just going the usual route talking about like resilience and hard work and never giving up, because you see these stories a lot and you want to find a way to stand out. That could be something interesting. But let's go ahead and take a look at your profile. College list: Yale, Stanford, Columbia, UChicago. Oh my, okay. UPenn, Princeton, Georgetown, Northwestern, UCLA, Berkeley, NYU, USC. These are all really good schools, so I'm very excited to read your profile. You are a rising senior at a small private UK curriculum school in Indonesia. Oh no, you're an international student. Okay, well, it's gonna be a bit tough. But let's take a look. Oh, you're Chinese Indonesian. Yay! We love Chinese Indonesians because I am Chinese Indonesian, so. Thinking of applying into the top 4 schools on the list. Wait, let me know which school I'm a better fit for. Cool. Medium to large size, less Greek life, decent school spirit, robust liberal arts program with structure, not a liberal arts college, good diversity in student body, emphasis on social justice, activism, politics. I mean, I see why you picked all of them. Good diversity, I think all of these fit. Yeah, I think all of these fit pretty well. I don't know how liberal artsy and like emphasis on social justice, activism, politics Stanford is, because I don't go there, but I know there are other like YouTubers who go to Stanford. I think there's a bunch. There's like Cathpath, there's Dylan Ellis, there Nazja, but now she's more fashion. But yeah, there's a bunch of YouTubers who do Stanford related stuff, and there's probably more that I haven't listed. Oh, and RP Park, but he doesn't actually do Stanford content. He's more like a funny person that I love to watch. But yeah, anyhow, so go check out their channels. But for stats, 1510, planning to retake in September. Definitely do. If you want to get into any of your top 4 schools, you probably need a little higher of an SAT. SAT 2s, world history, bio, math 2 in August. Try to get 800 in world history and math 2. I know world history is slightly easier to study for, and bio is just notoriously difficult, so good luck. GPA 92.7 out of 100. Number 1 rank for 10 semesters since middle school. What? For 10 semesters? There are 2 semesters in a year for 5 years? That's insane. Okay, cool. AIGCSE. Took 8 subjects maximum, got 8 A stars. Yo. A levels, math, bio, physics. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Business and GP. Okay. Okay. You took 5? Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Okay, cool. Let's move on to your extracurriculars. Very impressive academic stuff, but you do need to get your SAT up. The reason why you need to get your SAT up is because even if you're ranked first, even if you take all of these amazing classes, what that's going to read to colleges is that your school isn't as academically difficult if your SAT isn't high. You know, if your SAT is high, then that shows that like, oh, you are a very competent person by the overall standard, even though there are many problems with the SAT, but it's still used as a benchmark. So definitely get your SAT score at least a 1540, I will say. So yeah, let's look at your extracurriculars. President of speech and debate for 2 years. We don't have a MUN club, but planning to start one senior year. I don't know if you should start a MUN club senior year, just because starting a club, you only have 1 year of experience anyways. So I don't know. I mean, if you want to, please go ahead and do that. But for your college admissions, just like college app perspective, starting a club your senior year is not the most impressive thing, just because you can only put a couple months on your resume or on your college apps. So there's that. Unless you have done MUN many, many times before, and then you can say like MUN as a whole you've done for many years. VP of Habitat for Humanity. Oh, I've heard of this. Volunteer 200 plus hours, raised 5,000 to build 2 houses. Really cool. Start a campaign in collaboration with World Wildlife Fund to hashtag Save the Turtles. Director of Marketing of a grassroots WOC empowerment organizations. Founded a student-run publication for young girls with a pretty big impact on a very sheltered community. Moved that higher. Started a charity during COVID-19. Collaborated with local government to distribute supplies to over 500. Move that higher. That shit needs to be higher. Runs a family cookie shop with nearly 10K in revenue since it's starting it 3 months ago. Damn! That's really cool. Move the COVID-19 thing higher. And probably move the president of speech debate thing a bit lower, because other than the president of debate speech thing, everything else that you're doing is very NGO focused. It's very initiative driven, community grassroots focused, and I think that's really good. I think that's something you can do. 10 plus academic awards at school. Gives out awards for getting the best overall grade per subject level, per grade level every year. I mean, you got first for like 10 semesters, so I'm not surprised at all. Top in economics in Indonesia, top in business studies in Indonesia, holy shit. Silver medal from writing competition in UNSW, won best delegate a couple times, 6 trophies, 32. Okay, World Scholars Cup does not matter. If you want to put that on your activities list, move that shit down, because World Scholars Cup gives out way too many medals. Like, most people in my school have won probably over all the competitions that we participated in, probably over like 20 or 30 medals. I'm pretty sure I got 16 medals in one round, and I've been to like 3 or 4. So I'm not saying that you did a bad job. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that from a college app's perspective, it's not as impressive of some of the other stuff that you have on here. So don't put that super high. Published a Mandarin short story in a national Chinese newspaper. Move that higher, definitely higher than World Scholars Cup. Spoke at a virtual summit held by an international youth organization. Depending on the prestige and the size of the summit and the percentage of people who go to that, move that shit higher. Alright, speak 4 languages: English, Indonesian, Chinese, and French. That's pretty cool. Definitely have that. You can, 4 languages, does that qualify as a polyglot? I'm not super sure, but definitely have that. So it's not technically a polyglot, but it's quite impressive that you know 4 languages. So definitely put that on your awards or activity list somewhere. Played the piano since I was 5. Level 4 skier. I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm assuming that's pretty high if it's on this list. Intended major, international relations, public policy, economics. Okay, so public policy makes a lot of sense. Political science makes a lot of sense. International relations makes a lot of sense. I think you should add on something more grassroots driven. I think international relations is something that really good that you should capitalize on. Not too sure about economics. I mean, you are top in economics for Indonesia, so that's great. So, okay, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. Your stats are amazing, okay? Your stats are great. And the problem is that for a really big university, this is something that they're unfamiliar with. Like, Indonesian students in general. Like, I know a lot of Singaporean kids at UChicago. I know maybe 1 Indonesian kid and like 1 other Chinese Indonesian kid. Maybe 2. And that's it. We are a big school, and I only know like 3 Indonesian kids here. Like, it's kind of insane. I mean, of course there are more because I don't know every Indonesian kid here, but my point is there aren't as many as you might think. And so what that means is that college admissions counselors might be just more wary of admitting students from this area just because they're not familiar with it. They don't know what you're going to be like in college. They have no precedence. Same reason as if your school consistently sends students to one college, you're more likely to have this recurring trend because colleges know what they're expecting. You know, they know the quality, they know what they're getting, basically. So even though you might be top in all of these things in your country, it will be really difficult to convey that unless you have, you know, some sort of bar, which is why it's really important for you to get your SAT score higher. However, that being said, your achievements are quite just impressive in general. So I would say for your essays, maybe focus on what common thread ties between your passion for NGOs. Why volunteer service, right? Like, you are evidently very like academically driven. Why not more like academic competitions? You know, like that kind of thinking. Like, why try to serve your community in when your, you know, interests may lie in economics and business? And then you can go ahead and answer by saying like, oh, you use your business studies or you use your business studies like information, and you use what you learn in economics to help, you know, run your family shop, to help run the COVID initiative. All of these things are just very impressive, even though there are going to be a lot of COVID related things in the application, so I don't know how high you want that to be. But I think Yale could be a really good fit. UChicago, of course, you could be a good fit, but that depends more on your essays. If you show that you're a creative, interesting person, if you're not shy about writing about that and you quite like the UChicago essays, UChicago seems like a good school. I can't speak for Stanford because I don't know the school as well. I don't have that many friends who go to Stanford, and so I can't really speak to that. But you seem to be a person that has a lot of impact, and I know Stanford likes impact, so you might be able to capitalize on that part. You know, the part where like Stanford really likes students who are very like entrepreneurial, has a big impact on their community. So if you can somehow make it that like you have created like waves and movements within Indonesia, that's a big deal because Indonesia is a big fucking country. So yeah, again, I don't mention Columbia because your profile doesn't scream Columbia to me. Like I don't immediately associate it with Columbia because you do seem more of like a liberal arts nice person. While for Columbia, I feel like it's much more it's not so much like volunteer organization, but more like activism work. Like I know you listed activism as like something that you really want, and that Columbia is definitely that, but I feel like your profile is more volunteer work than activism, you know, and there's a small difference between the two. So of course, do your research on the 4 universities, and whichever one you think you would strive better at, go for that one. I would say out of these 4 schools, Stanford is the only one that is significantly, it's like more difficult to get into than the other schools. I feel like Yale, Columbia, and UChicago are all like around the same level of difficulty in my opinion. Like, that's just my opinion. Because like I considered them all in the same like tier, and then I put like Stanford, MIT, and Harvard in like another tier. So that's just my opinion. But yeah, that would be my advice for you. So yeah, congratulations. I'm really happy to see another Indonesian person on this list. And yeah, best of luck, Mia. Next person. It is currently 3:30. You can't see it, but you can see my cat. Follow my cat on Instagram. Okay, I'm gonna stop. This video has some odd crackhead energy, like vaguely just bubbling underneath the surface, but we're all here for it because we know we are still writing college essays at 3:30 a.m. all the way till 6 a.m., dragging your asses to school and then being depressed, coming back, and then continuing to writing them. So that was, at least for me, that was my entire college app experience. Just all my best essay ideas came to me at 4 a.m. So there we go. Next up is Jamie. I'm about to be a senior at a US high school, planning on applying for econ or business major, preferably business, but if a school I like only has econ, I'll major in econ. Well, econ and business are kind of different, so if you're really set on business, maybe apply to schools with better undergraduate business programs, but if you're more like, I don't really mind, I want a career in business but I can study econ, then that opens up your options a lot. And maybe a minor in film/journalism. That's cool. Schools I'm applying to in order of preference: Wharton, UChicago, Columbia, Northwestern, Vanderbilt, Olin, WashU, Ross, Georgetown, Babson College, Indiana University, University of Illinois, in-state. Oh! You're in Illinois. Perfect. UChicago's great. Harvard plus Stanford just to see what happens. Yep. Between EDing to UChicago or UPenn, but leaning towards UPenn. Well, look at it this way. If you want to get into Wharton or UPenn, then EDing is probably a good idea, because if you don't get into Wharton, there's still a chance that you might get into UPenn. So you never know what happens. 4.46 weighted GPA, 3.98 unweighted, only 1B freshman year. Holy mother of God. Oh my, okay, you are popping off. Great. Everyone that I'm reviewing has a better GPA than I did, and that makes me feel so happy. Like, I'm just, yes. I'm also very flattered that you guys are watching my channel, but hey. 1530 SAT, 800 math, 730 English. It's fine if you don't, okay. Was planning on retaking, but now probably won't. I promised myself if cross country is canceled in the fall due to COVID, I'll retake the SAT. Otherwise, I won't. I'll rather focus on journalism. Fair. Probably could bump up to super score 1570, 1580. That's much better than 1530. Also, don't think I'll take subject tests now because they conflict with the cross country meets, and I love covering meets too much. This is a mistake. Yes. I hate it when standardized testing conflicts with something I love to do, because I would pick the thing I love to do so much more than fucking preparing for a test. However, not taking any SAT2s is going to hinder the university/majors you can apply for. Do your research though, but if something is recommended, take the SAT. Because if you do the cross-country meet, I know you love it very much, but think of it this way. What if you do the cross-country meet and you don't get into the school that you want to get into? You will never be able to answer the question, if I had taken the SAT2s, would my life have been different, right? That will haunt you like for a solid year or so. So I would say take the SAT2, and there will be other meets. Yeah, it hurts me to say that, but like as someone who's giving you college admissions advice, like take the SAT2. Oh. Alright, EC. Sports journalist for cross-country/track. I do renowned video work, and I'm one of the only high school students working on staff for a nationwide company. 50 to 20 hours per week. I make highlight videos, write articles, interview athletes, host a weekly talk show. That's insane! Holy shit! Amazing! Thumbs up. Destination Imagination. I have no idea what that is. Nonprofit that promotes creativity/problem solving through team competitions. Cool. My team competes in the improv challenge. We're qualified for the state 3 times, qualified for globals twice, and 1 state in 2019. Congratulations! And that sounds really fun. I've never heard of something like this before, but that sounds interesting. Cross country and track. I've been on these all 4 years of high school. I'm JV, no leadership positions, and run/train year round. Okay. Well, in which case, probably don't put that the highest. Freelance captioning, part-time job, typing closed captions for businesses and universities. YouTube, from ages 12 to 15, I posted weekly on a comedy channel that grew to over 4,000 subscribers and 500,000 total views. Left it because I lost interest. Helps show my videos spike though. Band, I play tuba and I'm in the highest band in my school, which is one of the top bands in the Midwest. That's really cool. Those are the main ones. I've also done some consulting for businesses through a consulting firm, and this summer I'm working on producing free videos for local businesses to help them regain traffic from the pandemic. Put that somewhere on the list because that's cool. Yeah, that's like your part in helping COVID. Or maybe don't put it on the list, but maybe mention it in a video. Could be cool. Actually, mentioning a video might be a good idea because a lot of people focusing on Wharton in particular are going to be very business driven. You know, they probably started some company, Forbes 30 under 30 or something along those lines. There are probably a lot of these people. And if you do something for free and you're talking about why it's important to do something for free, and you even talk about like the economic impact if you want, but mainly why you as a business minded person who's worked for so long now feel the urge to do this for free to help your community, could be powerful. I was an honorable mention top 9 in international film competition freshman year. I won a video contest run by my state's government and won Hamilton tickets. Like original Hamilton tickets. Maybe national merit. Like fingers crossed. AP Scholar. AP Scholar doesn't matter as much, but still put it on there if you don't have anything else. Also various regional awards like cross country, all academic, etc. Basically, I'm going to position myself as combining business and filmmaking since we're in the age of social media. I'm hoping my unconventional activities will help me stand out and show my creativity. It definitely will. I can't speak too much on Wharton just because I don't go there and I did not apply. But I will say that your profile combining like business, you know, interning, making money, doing initiatives for COVID, helping your community, along with filmmaking are both really cool. But if you could frame it more as like cross-country meets business and you tie the two together with filmmaking, that could also be really cool just because I feel like cross-country filmmaking is what comes to mind after I read your profile. So I think combining the two could be really cool. So like someone who does cross-country and does videos about cross-country, and then because you do videos for cross-country, now you also do business work and interning at a really cool company that covers both. And your profile just ties together really well, and I love that. We love a cohesive profile. This is not even a well-rounded profile, it's just a profile that tells a story, right? Like, I kind of get a sense of who you are, and I think that's really cool. For your essays, I can't talk too much about Wharton essays, just because I don't even know what they are. But at least for UPenn, at the very least, I think there's a community impact one, and you should definitely talk about cross-country plus COVID plus filmmaking some way or the other. Since you're very passionate about filmmaking, for your UChicago essay, does it have to be UChicago? I'm just saying UChicago because UChicago is more creative. You could do something that's more like a film, right? Like storyboard your essay in the same way you would storyboard a film or like a short video, right? You could start off with like the different clips. I mean, if I were you, I would literally write it down, like opening shot this or like pan shot this, and then have your essay kind of streamline in between that. And I think that's really cool. I personally would really want to write an essay like that. If I had gone into video making like a little earlier, I probably would have done that, just because there's so much like relationship between what you read and how you see in your head versus what you literally see on the screen. So that could be an interesting way to write about your UChicago essay. For your Wharton pen essays, you know, highlight your skills for sure, but I think you can go the more I'm an interesting person route rather than I have so many accomplishments route, just because a lot of Wharton kids tend to do that. And yeah, I think you have a really good profile. Your GPA is insane, and I think, Jamie, you have a pretty good shot. So, you know, get your head down, get your head in the game, grind out those really cool essays, you know, do the best you can, push it to the limit, and I think you might get where you want. And even if you don't, you will end up somewhere where your drive and your creativity will get you through, and you'll end up where you want in life later on anyways. So, yeah, best of luck. Next person. We're down to our second to last one. I'm so excited. Of course, you guys should keep sending them in, but just like for tonight, it's currently like almost 4 o'clock and I'm just very excited. Alright, so next one. VG. Hi, I'm just generally wondered what my chances at UChicago are. I'm hoping to apply EA. Why EA? Okay, well maybe there's another school you would like the ED. But if you really, really like UChicago, you should probably ED. EA is kind of hard. I'm a little unsure of what major I want to pursue, so I wonder if maybe you could suggest how I could go about framing my profile. I'm thinking about pre-med and maybe majoring in bio or chem, but I also love writing and maybe thinking about pursuing a major in the English field, but I also love art and I'm thinking about art history as a possible major too. Okay, let's take a look at your profile. Demographics: half Asian, half white. My dad is Indian, my mom is Russian, lived in Australia up until 9th grade, middle school, but middle class public school. Okay, so you probably don't qualify for financial aid. Stats: 1450 SAT. You're gonna need a higher SAT for UChicago. I mean, UChicago doesn't require the SAT anymore, and 4.4 weighted GPA, I don't know what that is unweighted, but I'm assuming that's pretty damn high, right? I think. I'm not too sure, I'm sorry. Like, the whole weighted, unweighted situation. Actually, give me a second. I just double checked with my friend. Or 4.4 weighted, because this person is American. But yeah, 4.4 weighted GPA is great. Alright, good. Just checking. Self-study for 2 APs sophomore year, macro and micro. Oh, maybe your school doesn't do APs? Oh, no. 3 APs junior year, 7 APs my common senior year. Whoa, everyone's stacking on APs senior year. Okay, well, that means you brings your total up to 12 APs, which I think is pretty impressive. Let's take a look at your stats / your like ECs. Biology, Lab 8, 10, 11, 12, help freshman biology to organize creative. So it's like a TA, okay. Publish a 100,000 word novel with publishing company. Okay, I mean it's cool that you published the novel, but I want more stuff, right? Like ratings, reviews, sales. I don't know if you want to put on sales, but you know, like outreach, exposure. Is it reviewed by anybody? Like, yeah, maybe you don't want to include that information because of privacy reasons, but just be sure to write that and include that kind of like stats just to give a sense of impact rather than just I wrote a book. One girl charity ambassador for a nonprofit charity located in Australia, raise money by selling art. That's really cool. Oh yay, a COVID initiative. We love that. Hospital volunteer for 3 years. Oh my god. This shit needs to be higher. I think this needs to be higher than biology lab aid. Like higher. Newspaper cartoonist. Like an actual newspaper? That's cool. Higher. Sorry, I keep saying this, but yes, it should be higher. Murals club. Leader of murals club at high school where we paint murals for the school. That's pretty cool. It's at a school level, right? So it should be here. Calligraphy company. My friend and I have a calligraphy business on Etsy where we sell cards and calligraphy prints. That's really cool. Keep it there. Newspaper club. Part of the newspaper club that which releases monthly papers. I can't decide if I want the newspaper one to be higher or the murals one. I can't decide. But I think your newspaper cartoonist, hospital volunteer should be definitely higher, and then maybe your novel one, and then your charity ambassador, and then your like company mural stuff, and then your biology lab aid, and then you can include varsity. Oh wait, but your varsity swimming. Oh my. Okay, your extracurriculars are good. It's just I'm struggling a little bit because you have more than 10. And so I'm not too sure which ones to include. But I would say cut out your Brown summer program one because you did that in 9th grade. It's a bit too early, so cut that out. Your Massachusetts College of Art and Design, cut that out. You can mention it in your essays maybe, like you've taken this course before, but you don't have to mention like what grade you did that in. So yeah, you definitely have more than 10 activities on here, so you don't need to include the 9th grade stuff. Johns Hopkins Medical Intensive Program, I mean, that's really cool, even though you did that in 10th grade. Kind of like a model UN program at Tufts University / debate against other schools. Move the Johns Hopkins ones higher because you want your main like activities to be like biomedicine or art stuff. So that's what I'm trying to prioritize here. And then Asian Alliance Club, a club with monthly meets to learn about Asian culture. I think that's fine if you put that a little lower, but you did do that for 4 years. Don't put it too low. Probably like middle to little lower. Okay. Work experience, lifeguard and swim instructor. Very cool. I don't have any awards or honors. I don't know how important this is. Thank you for your help. Awards and honors are kind of important. You need to at the very least be able to fill out the 5 that are on the Common App. I think that your charity ambassador thing, you could probably put as an award or an honor. It doesn't really have to be an activity. And your National Honor Society thing, you can probably put as an award as well, so that's 2. And for the other ones, I don't know, have you received maybe some award within your school, like a dean's list or a principal's list or something, or some like summa cum laude or, you know, some Latin honor? Or maybe you can ask the hospital to give you some sort of like I don't know, you know, something to signify that you've done so much work for them. I don't know, you need 5 honors and awards. You have more than 10 activities, so you can find some way to frame your some activities as awards if it really, really comes down to it, but the best situation is to definitely get some sort of like award to fill out the 5, because at the very least you don't want to leave anything blank, you know? So it's about what you want to put first and second and stuff, but you shouldn't leave anything blank. Alright, so I think you have a pretty good chance at UChicago. I'm not talking about EA. I don't know about EAED, but if you are an American citizen, does it say here? Not really, but okay, I'm gonna assume you're an American citizen, but if you're not, just know that it's gonna be a bit more difficult. But say you are an American citizen and you study in the US public school, assuming that you either don't submit your SAT or you get your SAT score higher, I think you have a pretty good chance of getting into UChicago. Your extracurriculars seem to be very concentrated, or at least most of them seem to be very concentrated in biology / like pre-medicine stuff, as well as art. And I feel like you can talk about the combination of the two. I feel like I've talked about biology and art somewhere in this thread. Or is it something else? Okay, I forget. It's been a while. It's been a long night, guys. But if you are focusing on these two, then you can talk a little bit about how that kind of like melts. The fact that you work as a newspaper cartoonist and a hospital volunteer, and you own a calligraphy company, and you published a book. Oh wait, no, that was sophomore year. Okay. But yeah, still, like that's a lot of stuff at once. So the fact that you did hospital volunteer and newspaper cartoonist at the same time, maybe there's some interesting overlap that occurred, right? Maybe there's something where a point in your life or someday where you just kind of sat back as you went from one hospital job to working on a newspaper like cartoon spread for the next hour. You could talk about some reflection that you've had in that time period, or something interesting that occurred, right? UChicago has 3 essays. For the Y essay, maybe consider drawing something. I mean, they ask you to do whatever you want. You could do, there's a diagram question, I think. You have to check out my UChicago like prompts first impressions video for that. I think there's a part where you can draw something. If you can draw, definitely put those skills to good use. You can even draw like a little comic page and then have your essay on the back or something like that, because that's so cool. You can draw like a little like comic spread and have your essay in the text bubbles. I don't know what kind of like art you do, but that could be really cool. If you can draw, use that to your advantage. And if you do more like biomed stuff, don't talk about it just purely in terms of an academic sense. I think talk about how art and bio, how doing the two of them together has kind of changed you or made you as a better person, and you can put that into your either personal statement or your like uncommon essay. And then the other essay talk about you as a person, right? Like, why do you choose to do these things? Why are you doing all of these different internships? You know, you're doing things that has a lot of impact on your community. What does that mean to you? What has that done for you? How have you grown? How have you learned? Identify a couple of characteristics that you felt like you really developed, and then push those forward. So that would be my overall advice. Overall, though, I think you have a pretty good chance. except for your SAT. Your SAT just isn't great. But yeah, other than that, VG, I think you have a pretty good chance about UChicago, especially if you ED. But it will, again, come down to your essays. I mean, it always does, right? It always comes down to the essays. It's always the most difficult part. And yeah, good luck. Next, last one. Super excited. So, this last one is from Scottish Terrier. I would appreciate any tips/suggestions for my junior year so I can be a better applicant for colleges. You're a sophomore? Okay, I mean, the earlier you get started, the better. I don't want to sound too much like an Asian tiger mom, but the earlier you get started, the better. I should change my YouTube channel name to Your Tiger Mom Chloe, because you have like Your Mom Ashley, I'm Your Tiger Mom. Okay, cool. Okay, don't take that seriously. I might do, I don't know. Comment down below if you're still watching if you want me to change my name to Your Tiger Mom Chloe. But I'm a rising junior and I live in the US. I'm interested in majoring in computer science, English, mathematics, and creative writing. I will be taking the SAT around March and I've been studying for it. I've taken the PSAT and I got 1230 without studying. 1230 isn't great because I think the full score is 1600. But without studying, you know, anything could happen. I mean, I took the SAT practice test without studying and I got like 14 something. And once I studied, my score improved by over 100 points. So good luck with that. Try to get it higher. My unweighted GPA is 3.67. My weighted GPA is 3.96. The GPA needs to be higher, 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 higher. You are going into your junior year. Focus on your goddamn GPA. I regret this so much. I mean, my GPA for junior year was high, but it definitely could have been higher if I didn't like waste time on a lot of like my other extracurriculars. Get that shit up. I took AP Computer Science Principles freshman year, AP Gov this year. Next year I'll be taking AP Lang, AP Chem, AP World History, and Computer Science Java. I'm currently taking 2 courses at my community college, Intro to Astronomy and Intro to Stats. Cool. I'm interested in colleges that have small student-faculty ratios, good study abroad programs, and a good balance of STEM and liberal arts. Preferred location would be in the northeast area or any state where it snows, to be honest. Cool. Okay. You're interested in computer science, English, math, and creative writing. I mean, that's a lot of stuff, but I mean, math, computer science, and then English, creative writing. That's the 2 categories I'm going to put them into. Let's look at your college list. UChicago, MIT. If you want to apply to UChicago or MIT, your GPA has to be up. University of Miami, NYU, Bennington, Carnegie Mellon, Evergreen State College, Maryland, Ringling College of Art and Design, Emerson, University of the Arts. Cool. Extracurriculars. I would really like your opinion on this. I haven't been able to do many extracurriculars due to lack of transportation. I wanted to start doing some junior year, but I'm not sure if that'll be possible with everything going on, and I don't want to give off the impression that I'm just joining stuff last minute. Japanese National Honor Society, dual enrollment. I do read, write, run, and teach myself coding languages in my free time, but I'm not sure if I can present that. Yes, you can. And the easiest way to do that is by doing open source coding projects. You can take on these projects by just looking on GitHub, honestly, looking for open source projects, or you can go ahead and take like certified courses, and that could be, if you take enough of them, that could boost your application by a lot. Or even better, you do these and then you create some sort of application, some sort of web development thing, or you work for some online company. If in a remote internship, you apply using your coding skills or enter some coding competition or go to some hackathon. Do something with the coding language. Like, don't just teach yourself these languages, do something with it to prove how far you've come. There. Are my classes all right? Are there any classes you suggest? Freshman classes: Japanese, Bio Honors, AP Comp Sci, History, English, Geometry. Where's your math? But okay. Sophomore: Japanese 2, Genetics, English Honors, Algebra 2/Trig, Chem Honors. Math. If you want to do math, you need more math classes. Engineering Foundations, AP Gov. Junior classes: 2 Literature, Japanese 3, AP Chem, AP Comp Sci, AP Lang, AP World History, Physics Honors, Pre-Calc. I'm not super sure, but I think taking pre-calc in junior year is a bit easy. Definitely try, like, if you say you're interested in mathematics, right, you need to be taking at least the second most difficult math class available at your school. And I'm pretty sure at the point it's no longer pre-calc, but it's probably a lot higher. So try to get your math up a little bit. I mean, if it's going to tank your GPA / if you're not interested in it, maybe don't put mathematics as your intended major or something you're interested in. Do comp science instead. And I don't see a lot of creative writing stuff, like, at all. I mean, I see a lot of Japanese stuff, so you could do minor in Japanese maybe, but I don't see a lot of creative writing stuff. So if that's something you're interested in, probably do a couple more extracurriculars related to that. But if not, if you're good at computer science, and I mean, it's always really tough because being good at computer science is now like, it's either start a company and, you know, become a millionaire by like 21, or it's just do it in your free time for fun kind of thing. Because the range is so high, computer science is much more difficult to get into college just as like purely computer science, especially if you want to get into MIT as a comm science major. It's tough, let me tell you. It's really, really tough. If you live in the US, I don't know if you're from the US, but either way, it's going to be really tough for you to get into MIT's or UChicago just purely based off of comm science, unless you've done some sort of coding project, remote internship, hackathon, something along those lines, right? And they are always very available. Like, I did CTB, which is like a startup competition, not really startup, like a project-based idea, and we had access to this MIT hackathon. It wasn't exactly a CS thing, but it was more like a business combined with product development and a little bit of CS in it, and we ended up getting gold medalists like my team, and they're very easily available. Mine only lasted like 20 hours, like 16 hours or 20 hours, and I know hackathons can go for like 48 hours or so, so try to join those. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of remote hackathons as well. So my point is, do something with your code. If that's something you're really passionate about, and I'm seeing you're taking a lot of CS classes, definitely do that, because you're gonna need it if you want to get into MIT or UChicago as your top 2 colleges. But yeah, overall though, looking at your college list, I think you should not have too big of a problem as long as you get your SATs higher and your GPA a little higher, probably a lot higher if you want to get into MIT and UChicago. But overall, I think for your extracurriculars, go do something that will make you stand out. Do something that you can see yourself applying to college with. Japanese may not be the best one just because it's a language and it doesn't really show anything about yourself unless you're Japanese or in a weird situation where you're Japanese but not really, kind of, and you want to relearn the language and regain your culture or something along those lines. If not, I would suggest you do something else. Is there any activity that you've done for a really long time since you were a kid, and maybe you can join a club now in junior year? Then in your activities list you can write that not as like a year because you just joined a junior year, but rather as a longer time period because you've been doing that since you were a kid, something along those lines. You definitely need to plump up your GPA, and your extracurriculars is my overall recommendation. Focus on your GPA, but also focus on building your extracurriculars. Find a way to boost both at the same time if possible. I think online classes is a really good opportunity for you. Online remote internships where you can practice your CS skills and it'll benefit your CS classes / your CS GPA could be really fun. And if you're interested in creative writing, you definitely need to do something about that. And for UChicago, MIT, I guess you could, I don't know, I've had a friend submit a couple lines of code and then wrote an essay about that for UChicago, and she got in. So, I mean, that's just for your information, for your reference, right? But my point here is that because you're only at the sophomore level, it's really difficult for me to give you advice because I don't know what activities are available to you in your high school, in your region. But I will say that you do need to find something more interesting. And don't just take random things that you think will look good on a resume. Look at yourself. What activities could you see being representative of you as a person? And then go from there. That would just be my overall advice. Okay, we are done. We're done. This was a very long video. I don't know how the overall video is going to be, but this was probably going to be like a solid 2 hours probably because I've been talking for a while now. But yeah, I hope this video was very helpful to you guys, and if you have any more like college profile or even just college essay related stuff, go ahead and send me your admissions or your submissions in the link that I provided in the description and in the comments down below. And I will see you guys next episode where I will be mainly focusing on everyone's essays, and it's going to be so much fun because I love editing essays. The next episode is going to come out when I hit 8,000. Hopefully I do that within the next month because I really, really want to get the next episode out the next month, but of course, like, that's not entirely up to me. Worst case scenario though, even if I don't get to 8,000, I will still upload the video because I love you guys and I want everyone to do well in their college apps. But you know, if I get to 8,000 in the meantime, that would be great as well. So yeah, like, subscribe, and if you like this video, if you feel comfortable with it, please go ahead and share this with your friends, and I will see you guys next week with a more normal video. Bye bye!